I would like to welcome and thank you so much for your interest in Creative Guru. I'm Joe Belmonte, one of the founders and the Chief Marketing Officer. I call New York City my home, and I've worked in the advertising and marketing fields for several decades. My career has had me working for some of the greatest global advertising agency networks and some of the most beloved consumer brands, both here in the States and worldwide. My passion has always been focused on finding the sweet spot where a brand or a business intersects with consumer wants or needs. And that's what led me to be part of this team today. And we're so excited to share with you the vision and idea behind Creative Guru. Our thinking started with the discussion our team had one day about the strategies employed by Cambridge Analytica several years ago that so effectively shaped voters' opinions around certain political candidates and issues. Whatever opinion you might hold about Cambridge, we ultimately couldn't deny just how good their model was at influencing behavior. Using Cambridge as an entry point, we started to think about the broader marketing landscape, and we asked ourselves, what if there was a way to ethically harness the strategy employed by this highly effective company while maintaining respect of privacy laws and regulations? Add this with the fact that tracking cookies are expected to go away this year, taking away one of the most important tools marketers have access to in order to identify who their customers might be, and a real opportunity begins to unfold. And that's why we built Creative Guru for inbound digital marketing. Today, my team members will tell you more about our plans for this business and taking it to market. This team has rare access to in-depth knowledge of how to develop unconventionally effective artificial intelligence technologies. We will show you how we have created something incredibly useful and innovative that will become the solution for companies searching for new lead generation strategies. All that being said, I'd like to turn this over to my colleague and co-founder, Marcy Turman, who'll give you a quick overview of the size of this opportunity and the traction that we're already making in this marketplace. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. I'm Marcy Turman, Creative Guru's COO, and I have 10 years of tech sales experience behind me and an absolute passion for building strong customer relationships. I've known Joe Belmonte for over a decade, and I deeply respect his expertise, especially in navigating the complexities of digital marketing. I want to highlight how Creative Guru addresses the growing concerns around privacy and the cultural shifts influencing purchasing decisions today, and why this makes Creative Guru a very timely investment opportunity. For the last 20 years, vendors have driven sales online by displaying banner ads based on people's internet browsing habits. You know how it goes. You look at running shoes once and suddenly you're bombarded with running shoe ads everywhere. Now, vendors know that a certain number of those display ads will result in sales. However, this method of generating business is rapidly becoming outdated. Nowadays, people are far more likely to make purchasing decisions based on recommendations made by their peers, experts, or influencers. According to a recent survey by IDC, social networks now play a key role in over 80% of professional purchasing decisions. And it's in this world of social networking that Creative Guru thrives. And this is how we do it. We create a robot and teach it to be expert in a business, its industry, and the needs of its customers. The robot identifies who is active on social networks in a particular market. It also monitors the daily industry news cycle and social network communications to create a picture of that market with the goal of engaging participants to connect and exchange information. Sponsored by our client, Creative Guru becomes a digital influencer that builds a rapport with prospects. We cast a wide net, capturing potential customers early, giving our client multiple opportunities to nurture and develop a relationship with that prospective customer, so that when it's actually time to make a purchasing decision, buying from our client becomes a natural extension of a relationship that's already in place. Now, phase 1 and part of phase 2 of our development roadmap have already been delivered by the team, which has allowed me to start selling the service to our pilot customers. Right now, we're onboarding customers in green energy, consulting, legal, and the security sector, as well as a customer in high-end residential construction. We're also doing a pilot project for the Marketing Center, a company that places over 100 fractional marketing directors with companies that aren't in a position to employ a full-time marketing director. Each director works with around 5 client companies. And once the Marketing Center's account is active, the plan is to start to train their network of part-time directors in how to sell and use Creative Guru for the benefit of their clients. Now, after 10 years of selling things like data security and managed services, it is such a pleasure selling Creative Guru. That's because when you show company directors how practical it is, the opportunities we give them to connect with potential customers, it just lights up their imaginations, and we're having no difficulty filling the onboarding pipeline, which is why this is such a great time to invest in Creative Guru before the valuation starts to rise.
I'd now like to introduce you to the third member of our team, Gavin Smith, who has an in-depth knowledge of artificial intelligence development.
Sure. So Marcy discussed how positive the take-up of this service has been in the first meetings that we've held. Now, looking at the market, we believe this boils down to 2 essential truths. First, people know that to be successful in today's market, you must be actively using and influencing people on social media. Second, most people know that they don't have the time and resources to do this effectively. That challenge is amplified when compared to what our platform does. Gathering data on the identified targets, understanding their concerns, and influencing the narrative to guide these targets to our client. Engaging at a time and in a manner the robot has identified will be most effective. Doing the odd post now and again just isn't going to cut it. It's a bit like using a pea shooter against the side of a tank. So to give a real understanding of the market opportunity for Creative Guru, the total global market for social media and content engagement services is over $180 billion. If we take the English-speaking part of the market, that's the market we currently address, that's over $90 billion. To achieve our 5-year revenue objective, we're looking to capture just 0.5% of that market spend, over $500 million. And currently, there's no comparable competitor for the scope and the approach that we take with our service. Before moving on to the financials, I'm going to take a brief detour and discuss what we mean by the term robot influencer. So our starting point, as Marcy said, is to train the robot to understand our client and their services. We add to this by monitoring the activity of our clients' competitors and their followers. By capturing their posts and comments, we build a picture of who they are. This doesn't just mean the frequency and times they post, but the content of their posts. We run their interactions through our own in-house trained transformer models, and we build a real understanding of what makes them tick. For every post and comment, the robot assesses content and context. It analyzes sentiment and it analyzes references. As the robot builds this profile, we start to understand which targets are genuine prospects for our client. Do their values align? Do their interests align? And are they currently engaging on relevant topics? This allows the robot to engage with the target posts, not just by reposting or liking, but intelligently responding to their posts. Now, people love to get engagement on their social activity. By constant interaction, we not only get to influence the narrative, but our research shows that over 70% of targets will follow the influencer back. And remember, we're not just doing this in one channel. This activity uses all the leading social and audio channels. And as I mentioned, shortly we'll be releasing video capability, truly influencing the target in the medium that they prefer to use. So what's to stop others from copying our approach? Well, every touch point we have with a target is captured and automatically assessed for effectiveness. The robot learns what works well and what works less well. It does this on a global as well as on a target specific basis. So the more content we present and the more responses we analyze, the more valuable our service becomes, and the harder it becomes for others to copy our service. Our customers don't just pay the bills, they help us grow the pool of data we hold to continue the improvement of our robots and their approach. A virtuous cycle of improvement and profitability, driving Creative Guru forward to success. So I'll leave discussion of the technology there, but if anyone wants a deep dive into the tech, we're happy to schedule one-on-one meetings to go into it in more detail. To achieve the goals we've laid out, we're targeting 3 funding rounds over the next 12 to 18 months. The first, a seed fast round of 100,000 sterling, we expect to close within 4 weeks. This round gives investors a 20% valuation discount to the following seed round. The investment is an approved SEIS offering with an assurance letter from HMRC. Funds from the seed fast round allow us to build on the momentum we're already achieving. We can bring the executive team on board full time. We can enhance our data acquisition and model development capabilities. We can strengthen our sales and onboarding processes. And most important, we can bring on more customers. As I mentioned, each customer is not just a valuable source of revenue, but also delivers additional data points to improve the modeling. Within 2 to 3 months, we plan to close our next round, a 500,000 sterling seed round. Our goal is to achieve a 2 million pre-money valuation on this investment round. The first 150,000 confirmed investment in the seed round will receive SEIS tax benefits. The remaining 350,000 will receive EIS tax benefits. The funds for the seed round are focused on scaling up the sales and marketing activity and building on our early success. We'll strengthen the machine learning capability, both in terms of team and modeling and the modeling ecosystem. Our goal during this period is rapid sales growth, so we can achieve an ARR of over 2 million within 12 to 18 months. Achieving this will support a 4 million sterling raise in our A round with a pre-money valuation of 20 million sterling. These funds will support further expansion and feature research and development. So I'm going to wrap it up there, which leaves time for any questions on the financials that there may be. We have a data room set up at Seed Legals. We can provide credentials to interested parties that want to look into more details. When you contact us, please let us know if you're interested in the Seed Fast discount round or the regular seed round, and we'll make sure we send you the appropriate paperwork. Thank you. Look forward to meeting some of you face to face, and welcome any questions you've got about the offer or going back to the technology or Marty's area and Joe's area of marketing. Thank you.
I'm really glad that you're still willing to look at questions about the technology, because there is a lot of interest in how our tech is structured. So could you answer Mike's question? How is what you do similar to Cambridge Analytica's strategy, and how does it differ?
So where it's similar, let's start there. Part of their premise was by understanding people on social media, looking at what they post, looking at what their views were, they could build a picture of who those people were. They could segment them and they could split them across segments. They could then change the narrative by playing different content and different messages across these various groups. And that, if done well, can be a positive experience, because what you're doing is you're engaging with people on what they're interested in. So that element was positive in what they did. What they did, which was less positive, put it that way, they scraped millions of profiles, and most social networks, you can do that anymore. It's against the terms of service, but they went in there and they scraped millions of profiles and pulled them in, and were using those profiles, gathering information that they hadn't been authorized to use, and using that to influence the narrative. And I think if you're doing this on an industrial scale in politics, I guess you have to do that. What we're trying to do is using the same tech, but in a much more limited way, for a service, a product that allows us to actually use, rather than dragging people in and blasting out a message, it allows us to be much more selective, listen to what people say through the AI, but listening to what they say and engaging on their terms, engaging on what they're interested in, and answer their questions, answer their interactions, and build a profile of people who are engaging outwards. So they're in control of the interaction. I think that's the big difference. They are controlling their interaction with us.
Okay, a question from Chris. What is your core level of data set driven from? For example, what level of data would you derive for a CEO who is looking for leads?
What we would actually look at, CEO looking for leads, what does their company do? And then we look at actually what are their target model customer interested in. So we'll discuss, give 3 or 4 model customers that you are targeting your service at, whether it's a consultancy, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. Gather that information. Then let's pick one of those model customers and let's really drill down into what their interests are, what their concerns are, what their industry is. Our focus and what we kick the model off doing is actually to focus on that model customer. What are they interested in? Because it's not what our client is interested in that matters. It's what their client's interested in. And the good example I always use is what Joe mentioned. One of his clients, they did bacterial soap, but when they were marketing this, they didn't talk about bacterial soap, which is what their client was interested in. What they talked about was hygiene and cleanliness, and drawing people in to how important it is to have hygiene as part of their household experience. And then they brought the soap into the message. Yeah, we're trying to do the same thing with the model. We're trying to get the model to understand not what the service being offered is about, but what the customer is concerned about, what drives them, and then generate interaction around those areas, which we can then weave the customer service into.
This is from Chris. What is your current level of valuation and how was that derived?
Because we're a startup, we actually intended to do the seed round pre-revenue. We've actually moved ahead quicker than we anticipated, which is why we're doing the seed fast rounds to build up, keep that momentum going. So the way we've come to that valuation, we've looked at our target valuation for the next round, which is achieve an ARR of over 2 million. Use the standard metric of 8.5 times, gives a valuation of 20 million. So that's our valuation target in 12 to 15 months. what is a reasonable discount rate for the seed round to for the risk they're taking by getting in early. So what we've done is taken a 10 times return. So we've taken that 20 million and brought it back to 2 million. So if we're able to execute and hit our targets, then those early investors in the seed round should see a 10 times valuation increase over that 12 to 15 month period when we hit our goals. What we've then done for the seed fast round is taken at a pretty standard 20% discount for those very early investors for the additional risk again that they're taking. But everything derives from that A round, which we're targeting in 12 to 15 months.
How do you scale this offering, and what ARR do you expect within 4 years?
Uh, yeah, it's 3 years. I can give you. It's about 40. We're looking at about 40 million ARR in a 3-year window. That's apologies. 4 years is not. I haven't got it at the tip of my tongue. So how do we scale it? The model is our early years. Let's talk about that. Our first 6 to 12 months is very much geared on a direct sales force. So lead generation using standards marketing metrics plus our own system to bring those leads in, and then a sales force to actually speak to customers face to face and generate those early customers. During month 6 to 12, and as we progress out, we'll be switching much more to a agency driven model. Now Marcy's actually again been able to make earlier strides than we expected on that with the marketing center. But it's when we get the agencies involved and we see the take up really scaling. And again, what Marcy's been doing plus Joe's experience really helps with that because they can talk on their terms. As part of that will be a training program to train the agencies. So go back to our early stage. We've got in-house consultants, both social media specialists and deep learning specialists. What they will do is they will transition to also be a training role where they're bringing the agency team up to speed so that they can interact with their customer, they can advise their customer, and they can set the system up. But we understand that there's a bit of a lead time on that because there's a lot of expertise to transfer across to them. Mm-hmm.
What IP does Creative Guru have, and what specifically is the £4 million to be used for? And do you have any top-level clients? So that's a compound question.
Okay, I'm going to pass the clients over to you, Marcy, afterwards. But if I start on the first part of the question, so there's two parts to the IP element, and it's for all deep learning companies, machine learning. This is a problem. There's no legal framework at this stage to protect the actual models. And what I mean by that is the data models that underlie the executable, because you have two parts to machine learning. You've got the algorithm, and a lot of that is actually open but can be protected. But you've got the data, and you've got the data that you have trained, that you have created. So talking at a base technical level, the weights, all of the parameters, those are not there's no case study about how that's protected. So the way that we're looking at protecting that initially until there's some solidity, we're speaking to a law firm about how we can protect it in terms of trade secrets. So it's lodged, so it's filed, and if there's a dispute, we can show that we created it 2 years ago. Here's what it is. It was lodged in escrow, and it was under lock and key. We couple that with strict control around the data and the algorithms. We've already put that in place in terms of the way we use the data center, and that will continue. So we're protecting access to what is the value within our business, which is the data that we generate and the specific algorithm weightings parameters that create that data.
Joe, could you tell me what the term top-level client means, or if Chris could type a little more explanation of what he means by that, so I can address that question?
Sure, I'm not sure what his context is, but in my mind, top level just kind of speaks to, here in the United States, we would talk about Fortune 500, probably some of the larger clients that are spending money, et cetera. And my response to that would be, at this point, no, we don't. We're really targeting small and medium businesses at this point. That's how we're going to build our reputation. And then as we evolve, we'll be working with agencies, and then we'll start to go after some of the bigger top level clients.
Sorry.
It's also worth mentioning, Marcy, that those larger firms may be bespoke consultancy opportunities. I mean, we've already got our first inquiry about that from the insurance company, where they want us to take the technology, but actually wrap it and train it in a particular way for a particular requirement that they have. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to grow in those areas, as well as the simple SaaS model.
Here's a question from Barry. Is the information you gather separated by platform, or can you create a picture of people's interests across multiple platforms?
So Marcy talked about phase one. She talked about we're part way through phase two. We actually, when we talk about engagement in our team, we actually look at it across 3 phases. Phase one for us is what we're doing currently, simple engagement, where we draw information, we pull, we structure a picture of the person, and we interact in a logical manner. Excuse me. Phase two is to start to identify people across platforms. One of the things that we're looking at is various applications. So if you think of the Google model, but very much focused on content rather than generally, they produce a range of applications. A good example is Capture. Why do they give away Capture? Well, yeah, it's a useful thing. It makes the web safer and all this. It also means they capture the digital footprint of every customer that goes to the site that's using Capture, and it allows them to build a digital profile of people across the internet. Now we're looking at a similar strategy with but using the content that we have to generate for the engagement. So making it available to websites to enhance the content on their sites, drawing those people back and building a digital footprint, and allowing us then to start to build a picture of who this person is, their broader interests. Now, there's 2 reasons we haven't moved. We're holding back on that at the moment. One is technical. We need the part of what we're doing with the seed round is to build up an infrastructure that allows that to take place. The second is we are currently in the process of speaking to our law firm to make sure that what we do is GDPR compliant. We're very careful between an unidentified and an identified person. So as soon as we almost don't want them to be identifiable, because once they become identifiable, we've got to put them into a different category and treat them in a different manner. We like anonymized people because it allows us to learn about them and interact with them across our various assets, which we'll be building up. So, our goal is to understand this person, what their interests are, and what sort of information they pull in, and then from that we can be much more effective in engaging on Facebook if we know who they are on Facebook, on Twitter if we know who they are on Twitter. When I talk about digital footprint, obviously with tracking cookies going, you can't be sure it's a person. It's the same person, but what you can do with the digital footprint, it covers a lot of information. and you can have a probability-based solution, which is what we do, to say, okay, well, this person is likely to be the same as that person. You don't know with certainty, but you know that it's probably that person, so you can start to draw inferences from more than one location.
We're drawing to the end of the hour, and I want to thank everybody for coming today. These questions have been really stimulating. I'm so pleased that so many of you were able to attend. And I look forward to speaking to many of you in the future about investing and taking this journey with us, because we are already executing and seeing great uptake of this. And this is going to be a fabulous company. And I hope you will choose to join us as investors. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.